Last time I didn't try my tea and there was like no sugar in it, but I tested it this time. Hey guys, my name is Aime and I make videos on sustainable living for anyone and everyone because I believe we can all save the planet. So hit that subscribe button because why wouldn't you want to save the planet? So today we're doing another sustainability video. It's pretty self-explanatory. I watched a video related to I can't say that word today. I watched a video about eco-friendly living and I drink some tea. There's gonna be a lot of it spilled in today's video. We're gonna be talking about Lauren Singer, everyone's favorite zero waste queen. If you've seen any of my other sustainability videos, I'm kind of weary of the zero waste movement. I feel like for me, it has more to do with looks and aesthetics than with actually saving the planet. As I mentioned in one of my recent videos, sustainability has 3 pillars: economic, social, and environmental. Oftentimes in the modern day sustainability movement, we always remember the environment part of it, but we forget the social and economic when you consider like all the things that you're expected to buy to be zero waste. It just seems really on the table for people who are low income, or when you consider the places that people who are zero waste shop. The super fancy stores that have the book sections, not everyone has access to that. So when you tell people who don't have access to those kinds of grocery stores that they're not sustainable because they're still buying things from plastic packaging, it just ends up being very elitist. Maybe I should make a whole video on the zero waste movement. But today we're going to be watching a video, a TED Talk of Lauren Singer. She's basically like the face of the zero waste movement. She has a whole zero waste shop that I could make a video on as well. Today we're just gonna be watching her TED Talk. She's talking about why she lives an eco-friendly lifestyle. I feel like this video is not gonna be super bad because like her intentions I know are pure. I know she's a good person. I know she wants to help people be sustainable. I just have a problem with the movement and how it has turned into aesthetics. That just annoys me because we should be focused more on tangible fixes that are going to help the planet rather than mason jars that you bought from a grocery store, which is producing waste when you could have just bought secondhand. Okay, let's start the video.
This is all of the trash that I've produced in the past 3 years.
Then that would mean that she doesn't have sex because there's probably no condoms in there. She's never flown anywhere because they use single-use products when you go to the airport. Then she's never had any refrigerator, car. She's had the same electronics since 5 years ago because if that breaks then she'd have to put it in the jar. And any clothing that she's ever donated to a thrift store, if that ended up going to a landfill, she'd have to go pick that up and put it in the jar. She hasn't produced a mason jar's worth of garbage is what I'm trying to say. And I really hope, I'm fingers crossed that she explains that in this video, but I'm guessing not because she has a whole business around being zero waste. So I'm guessing she's just gonna be like, this is all the waste I've ever produced in the past 5 years.
When I say that, people think that I'm crazy or that I'm lying, or they'll ask me questions like, hey, so how do you wipe your butt?
See, the thing is, you are lying because I feel like I really don't want this video to be super negative and like I'm hating on her. It's amazing that you've been able to control the amount of waste that you produce, but when you make it seem like it's a mason jar's worth, I know it's not a mason jar's worth of waste. You're just making it seem like this is something that is possible when it's literally not even possible. It's like when celebrities get all these like body modifications, which I have nothing against plastic surgery, but when you get plastic surgery and then you like pretend like, well, it's nothing, I was just born like this. That's basically what she's doing with being zero waste. She's like, yeah, I literally don't produce any waste.
I live a zero waste lifestyle, and I have for the past 3 years. Now, zero waste, that's a pretty big idea, right? So let me define it for you. To me, living zero waste means that I don't make any trash. So no
That's not possible though.
sending anything to landfill, no sending anything in a garbage can. And
the thing is that you can't control what things you consume ends up in the landfill. Like I said, a lot of the things we recycle ends up in the landfill. So just because you don't see it physically doesn't mean that stuff isn't in landfills. So unless she doesn't use any kind of plastic at all, which I seriously doubt it, because I remember watching a video and she said she recycles. So just because you're not physically putting something in the garbage doesn't mean that it's going to be recycled. It's not as simple as just not sending things to landfill directly. You can indirectly be sending things to landfill.
And no spitting gum on the ground and walking away, right? No trash. This is a big concept. And this all started when I was an environmental studies student at NYU. My senior year, I was taking a course called the Environmental Studies Capstone course, which is essentially the culminating course that all environmental studies students need to take in order to go out into the world and make it a more sustainable place.
This reminds me of actually also, I didn't major in sustainabilities. I had a minor in sustainabilities, and I really enjoyed taking those classes because you got to be around other people. I majored in political science. I was literally the only one. Most of the other people were either business or architecture students. So I think it's amazing that we have people who are creating buildings or like creating businesses that are going to have sustainability in mind. I think everyone should take sustainability courses or minor in it if you can. I know it's really simple for me because no matter what your studies are, even if it's like science, if it's like music, I think having sustainability as a background of yours, first of all, I think it can't hurt you. I think it'll just make you a more diverse candidate, and it's just going to be important for people to have sustainability in mind no matter what they're studying and what their career paths are.
Well, there was a girl in this class, and every class she would have this big plastic bag with a plastic clamshell full of food, a plastic fork.
Oh my god, this reminds me, this is kind of different, but I took a class, it was called Environmental Ethics, and it was literally like, I'd say at least like 40% of the people in that class were vegan, because like, it was like about sustainability obviously, and we talked a lot about like animal rights, animal welfare, a lot of that kind of stuff. So a lot of people in that class were like vegan or vegetarian, like I'd say 30%, like way more than like the normal population, obviously, because it's a really specific class. But there was this one girl in there who was like basically anti-veganism. Like she did a presentation and she was like, being vegan isn't better for the environment, and everyone in that class was just sitting there like, what? Where did this come from? Like, it's so clear that being vegan is way better for the environment than not being vegan. It's just clear as night and day that being vegan is better for the, it's not question. And she made a whole presentation about how, well, if you hunt your own meat, then that's better than producing vegan products, and like vegans eat avocados and they're shipped from Mexico, and I'm just sitting there like, do you not eat avocados?
Fork and knife, a plastic water bottle, and a plastic bag of chips. And she would eat all of this, and then class after class would just throw it in the trash.
I also had another experience kind of similar to this one. There was 2 required classes for my sustainability minor, and I remember in one of them there was this guy who would have like a plastic water bottle, and I'd just be sitting there like, you're literally studying sustainability and you still use plastic water bottles? That's so sad.
Now this was really frustrating because here we were, these environmental studies students, trying to make the world a better place, and there she was throwing all of this stuff into the garbage. One day after class, feeling still particularly upset about watching her throw everything away, I went home to make dinner. And I opened my fridge and noticed something that I had never seen before. Every single thing in my fridge was in one way or another packaged in plastic. And I couldn't believe it. You know, I was getting so mad at this girl for making so much.
This is really interesting. I really like this. It's really important whenever you're criticizing other people, when you're looking at someone and you're like, why are you doing that? You need to also take a look at yourself and see, maybe I'm part of the problem, maybe I'm also contributing negatively to this situation, instead of always like criticizing other people. I know for me personally, whenever I watch these kinds of videos, I like to think about how I can improve myself, because if I'm gonna make all these videos about helping other people be sustainable, sustainable, I have to talk the talk, or no, I have to walk the walk and make sure that I'm doing the most that I can instead of just always telling people what to do. Like, that's not my goal at all. My goal is to share my experiences and to help people see everything in a nuanced way rather than like judging people. I really don't want it to ever feel like I'm judging people because everyone has different life circumstances, so I can't have one prescribed way of being sustainable. So I want to share different ways and tips that you can be sustainable rather than ways that you should be sustainable, because it's different for everyone, and I never want to feel like I'm prescribing a specific regimen to every single person because everyone's different and I don't know everyone's life situations, and I also want to make sure that I'm taking a look at myself and making sure that I'm doing the best that I can.
Plastic trash, and it turns out that I was just as bad. I was that girl. And so I made a decision in that moment. I was going to stop using plastic. Well, quitting plastic. Not so easy of a thing, right?
Yes. There are certain foods that come in plastic that I really will never understand. There are other situations where the reusable version is just so much simpler to use, but people just are so used to the non-reusable version. We're just used to the way we live, but if you look at it from a nuanced perspective, we're literally just producing waste for no reason at times. Like paper towels, there used to be a thing called a regular towel that does the same job for cheaper.
When you think about your everyday life, you wake up in the morning, you go into the bathroom, and you brush your teeth. What is your toothbrush made out of? Plastic. What is your toothpaste probably packaged in?
Plastic.
Your face wash, your moisturizer, plastic. Your contact solution.
Plastic.
So many things that are in our everyday lives come packaged in plastic. And so I realized that if I was going to move away from plastic, the only way that I was going to be able to do that was to learn how to make my products myself. Well,
it's really cool that she took that initiative and started just making things herself. Yeah, if you're trying to avoid plastic, it's really hard to do so while still purchasing things. We're moving more towards a lot of different companies making things that are reusable, refillable, and plastic free / package free. But especially, I think this video is like maybe 5-7 years ago. At that time, it really was not something that was readily available. I know even when it comes to veganism, like 5 years ago, vegan alternatives just did not exist. I know when I tried to go vegan in high school, I couldn't even find tofu in my home. I lived in South Dakota. There's like no tofu. I probably should have checked like an Asian grocery store, but yeah, like at Walmart, places like that, there was like no tofu, no vegan chicken. It just didn't exist. But as we kind of progress, we're learning that these are things that consumers are asking for, so companies are actually popping up that can fill the need.
I don't know about you, but I certainly didn't know how to make deodorant and didn't have the recipe just kind of hanging out in my back pocket. And so I realized that I had to do some research. And while I was doing research online, I came across a blog called The Zero Waste Home, started by a woman named Bea Johnson, who's a wife and mother of 2 kids out in Mill Valley, California. And the 4 of them live a completely zero waste life. When I learned about Bea and her family,
having a zero waste family is honestly goals. That's so cool how you can be able to do that with a family, because I know even for me as a single person, it can be hard for me to stay away from plastic and like other kinds of waste. So that's really cool that this woman was able to do it with a family.
My mind was completely blown. I thought that I was doing the best thing that I could for the planet by not using any plastic. But the idea that I didn't have to produce any trash was so empowering and so inspiring. And it made perfect sense, right? Because I was this environmental studies student, I cared about the environment, studied sustainability, talked about sustainability, protested for sustainability. But I realized that I wasn't actually implementing any of those values into my day-to-day life. And so I made the decision to go zero waste.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important whenever you're learning new concepts to implement them into your life. I know I can get in the habit of like watching videos and then not doing anything about it. So try to make sure that when you're watching these kinds of videos, take some part of the video and try to implement it as soon as you can before you forget about it.
So let me break it down for you and tell you about some of the things that I did in order to make this transition a little easier. The first thing that I did was I stopped buying packaged food. So instead of going into the store and buying things packaged in paper and glass and plastic.
It's so cool that she stopped buying things in general that are packaged in any kind of way. That's really awesome. I know for me, it's really hard to find things like that in South Dakota, so good for her.
I started bringing my own jars and bags to the store to fill with bulk or package-free items. I also started buying my fruit and vegetables from the farmer's market, so package-free. The second thing that I started doing was I started making all of my own products. Before I started living this lifestyle, my boyfriend at the time used to brush his teeth using baking soda. And I thought he was probably the grossest person in the entire world, right? There's no way that you could possibly get your teeth cleaned using something like baking soda. It's gross. Well, fast forward, and it turns out that the first product that I made was toothpaste made with baking soda.
I tried making my own toothpaste, but my problem with it is I really don't want to just like ruin my teeth. They're already not really healthy, and I feel like baking soda can really erode it. So I just would be too scared to like have too much baking soda. I don't know, maybe I'll try making my own toothpaste again. Last time I tried it, I was scared that it was like eroding my teeth.
So over time, I started making all of my own products. When I would run out of something, instead of going to the store and buying a new one, I would learn how to make it myself. So when I would run out of lotion, I learned how to make it myself. Run out of deodorant, learned how to make it myself. Over time, all of the things that I had previously purchased were now ones that I made myself. The third thing that I started doing was shopping secondhand.
I literally live for thrift shopping.
Instead of buying new clothing and putting new waste into the waste cycle, I would buy things that were totally recycled, secondhand, so not making any new trash. The fourth thing that I did was
Okay, so I'm kind of curious here. So she's talking about how when she ran out of things, she would like start making it on her own. What did she do with the original products when she would run out of them? Because her jar, I don't think has like makeup that she ran out of or moisturizer and stuff. So did she start her jar only after she had completely transitioned? Did she just not count things she bought before? I'm kind of curious.
Was I downsized. So I focused on having only the things that were truly necessary and that I really needed. Well, this was really, really hard because
minimalism is the easiest way to be sustainable, because when you have less things, it's just better for the environment, less waste, less trash. And I talked about this in my 10 ways that sustainability can be affordable video. Having like a smaller space especially, you have less space to fill with things, so it ends up being more environmentally friendly, because then you can't buy a bunch of things because you don't have space for it.
I'm the kind of person who's really sentimental, and I can tell you as to why a toothpick needs to be in my life. But after I really got through that process and I completely downsized, I realized that I had so many fewer things in my life, my home was less cluttered, and everything was easier to clean. And when you have fewer things, you realize that you take better care of them, right? So when you take better care of your things, you don't have this mentality like, oh, if I don't want this anymore, I'll just throw it out and get a new thing later. No, I only had a few things, and so I took care of them and wasn't sending anything to landfill. All this must sound pretty difficult, right? I assure you, it's not that hard. I'm just an average.
I think this is kind of problematic. Okay, so for the first half of this video, I didn't really have a lot of the problems, other than like her whole, this is the waste I produced in 3 years, which it isn't. Other than that, I was like, this is really cool. It looks like she has, her values are all in the right place. I love that. But I feel like she's gonna go into how this is so easy. You guys are just complaining for no reason. It's so easy to go zero waste. Anyone can do it. When no, that's not the case. Like I told you, not everyone has the same resources as her. Not everyone is able to afford the higher cost of going to a farmer's market versus going to Walmart. Not everyone can afford to spend all this time creating the zero waste products instead of just buying toothpaste from Walmart. Not everyone has the resources, time, and money to just live this kind of lifestyle. I hope she doesn't go into a whole speech about how this is so easy, anyone can do it. I think it's important to empower people to try their best to be sustainable, but I hope she doesn't make it out to be like so easy.
Lazy person, and I wouldn't live this lifestyle if it was difficult. In fact, the benefits of living.
What do you mean if it was difficult? You literally just talked about how it... Is she really gonna talk about how being zero waste isn't hard? I mean, for you it might not be, but like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of ways that being zero waste is not attainable for everyone. So please don't tell me she's gonna talk about how it's so easy and anyone can do it. I watched the video. I don't remember the person who made the video or what the video was titled. It was basically about how sustainability is elitist. And there was also a Tiffany Ferguson video that I'm gonna react to. I haven't seen it yet, and I want to wait until I make a video on it. But it's also about the elitism in the sustainability movement, and it's with people making statements like this, these like overarching, like, this is so easy, anyone can do it. And I know for me, as a fact, that people watching this video are going to like feel bad about themselves if they watch this video and they're like, well, now that I'm like thinking over it, I don't know if I could do the same thing that this girl did. And it's not even their own fault. It's no one's fault that they don't live next to a grocery store that has the bulk section. I know when I was in college, I had that close to me. There was a bulk store literally like down the street. That's where I did most of my grocery shopping. So I had access to that. It was more expensive though. The sugar in the bulk section was way more expensive than like the packaged sugar. So sometimes I would splurge and buy that sugar, but other times I didn't have the money to do that. So I would just buy like a regular package of sugar. I try to buy the bigger sizes so that it was like more cost effective and more sustainable that way. As someone who has struggled at times to be sustainable, even though I'm a single person, I'm pretty young, and I'm not even that poor. Like my family is pretty privileged. Like I don't come from like, I definitely don't live in poverty. I've struggled to like be zero waste, to be sustainable. I've struggled to find the time to do a lot of what she's talking about. So when she's sitting here talking about how this is so easy, anyone can do it, no, that's literally just not the case. Not everyone has the time or money to be zero waste. So it just really annoys me when people like her walk around saying that this is just so simple and why isn't everyone doing it? I want everyone to know. I really love that my channel has become a safe space. I've been getting comments saying people appreciate my approach to sustainability because I try really hard to make it really inclusive for everyone of all age groups, of all economic backgrounds, because I do believe that we can all play a part in a more sustainable future. But we're not all going to play the same part. We're not all going to be completely zero waste like Lauren Singer. We're going to all do our best is what we're going to do, and we're not going to sit here and judge people for not being able to be zero waste because they don't live across the street from Whole Foods. Man.
This lifestyle far outweigh any of the negatives that you could imagine. The first benefit is that I save money. So I save money when I buy my food and the products, and when I make my own products, because I'm not paying for.
That is true. I think it's really cool that I actually made a video on 10 ways that being sustainable can be more affordable, and it basically goes over some of the perks to being sustainable and how you can save money. So it is true that there are ways that you can save money by being more sustainable.
The embedded cost of packaging, so things are cheaper. I'm also saving money by shopping completely secondhand, because secondhand clothing is usually less expensive than new.
And I had that in my video. Shopping secondhand is such a great way to save money and also be more sustainable.
Clothing. I'm also saving money because I've downsized, and so I don't go shopping all the time now and, just buy things on impulse. I only have what I really need. The second benefit is that I eat better. When I go shopping now, I don't have the option to buy processed food products package free. And so now my diet consists of things like fresh fruit and vegetables, or bulk, grains.
That's really amazing. In my video I also had how eating vegan or plant-based is a lot cheaper than a regular diet because you don't have meat and eggs, and especially if you don't have a lot of processed like vegan foods, then it is more affordable. But the thing she's explaining here, you're basically ignoring people who live in food deserts and don't have access to like Whole Foods or stores that have the bulk sections. I know that we go grocery shopping at Walmart because it's more affordable than, I don't think we have any kind of specialty stores in South Dakota, because like when I was in Minnesota, I went shopping at Fresh Times, and it's like in an organic, super fancy kind of like a Whole Foods vibe. And also sometimes I go to Trader Joe's, and that's kind of a similar, it's less like sustainable-esque, but that's like another like super fancy kind of grocery store. We don't really have that in South Dakota, and I live in the biggest city, so I don't know if I'm able to do what she's saying here. I understand where she's coming from, but I think she's not understanding that not everyone has the same resources as her. Some people live in food deserts and aren't able to go to the grocery store and shop completely package free.
And nuts that I buy with my jars and my bags. And so when you eat better, you feel better. I've noticed that over these past few years, my weight has stabilized, I have more energy, I need less sleep. And when you're eating better and you feel better and you save money, you're happier. But besides those things, I'm happier because for the first time in my life, I'm living in direct alignment with my values. And why is this important, right?
I'm happy for her. I think it's really awesome to be able to say that you are living with your values. I think that's super cool.
Waste. Well, waste is a really big problem. In fact, the average American person produces approximately 4.4 pounds of trash per person per day. Over the course of a year, that's like taking 8.5 of your—
I'm wondering what counts as that. I'm wondering what is counted in that like 4 pounds of trash. 4 pounds, that's a lot, huh? Does that also count like trash that, I'm kind of curious what they count as trash in that situation. Do they count like industrial, like if you go to a restaurant, you might not see the trash that's being produced, but you obviously contribute to the trash that the restaurant makes. Do they count that? Do they count like if you go on an airplane and you have to use all those like single-use things? Do they count that? I'm just kind of curious what they count as trash.
Your best friends and throwing them in the trash. Don't do that. It's not nice.
I didn't hear that.
So if over the course of a year, that's like taking 8.5 of your best friends and throwing them in the trash.
That's funny.
Don't do that. It's not nice. So if you care about your friends and you don't want to throw them away, and you think that it's possible for you to possibly reduce how much trash you're producing, I have 3 simple steps for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
The first step is to actually look at your trash and understand what it is, because you—
That's a great first step. I reacted to a video a couple weeks ago where it was basically like how to be more sustainable, and she talked about like going through your trash and seeing exactly what kind of waste you're producing so you can try to reduce that. And I think that is an amazing first step, because if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you need to be.
You can't solve a problem of having a lot of waste until you know what it is. So when I did this exercise, I realized that I had 3 main sources of trash. The first was food packaging, and so I learned how to shop in bulk or package free. The second was product packaging, and so I learned how to make all of my own products. And the third was organic food waste, and so I learned how to compost. And just—
Once again, I just want to say that everything makes trash. So I'm guessing she's not counting like if she gets apples and those apples came in a huge thing of packaging and then they were dumped into the thing that created trash, you contributed to that. The thing about zero waste, and is what I'm noticing from this part of the video, is that she has internalized or personalized the trash she creates. So she's basically like, I create this much trash, Cindy creates this much trash, John creates this much trash, when there are other ways that we all contribute to trash together, if that makes any sense. So for example, if you go to a restaurant and you eat out, you might not see the trash that's happening behind the scenes, but are you gonna go back there and take whatever scraps from your meal and compost it? I doubt it. I'm sure she gets coffee at different places. Is she gonna go back and ask to take the like package of coffee roast that they use for her order and like recycle that, or like somehow try to save that trash? I doubt it. There is trash that you contribute to that you don't personally see and you don't personally like come into contact with in any way, and there's also other kinds of waste that I don't think she's mentioned once in this video. Waste from carbon dioxide, from like driving around, from taking airplanes. There's also like waste from water. There's energy waste, like if you leave the doors open, if you have an air conditioning, that uses a lot of energy. So there's other ways that we negatively impact the planet, and I feel like Lauren Singer has made it so that she's only talking about and focusing on physical personal waste, when there's other problems that are just as valid. And honestly, I feel like carbon dioxide is a much more pertinent problem than like plastic that you create. Obviously, try your best with plastic packaging, but I think we should definitely be trying to make sure that the air is clean and that we are not putting as much carbon dioxide into the air as we do. I just wish that she would have a more comprehensive look at sustainability rather than only focusing on physical, personal trash. There's other kinds of problems facing the environment, and trash is definitely one of them. But I think we should also be looking at other parts of her life. I don't think she even considers, I'm sure she does, but doesn't talk about it because it would basically hurt her whole image. But she doesn't talk about, there's this thing called life cycle assessment, and it basically, when you're trying to find a sustainable solution to something, for example, a regular plastic bag versus a reusable bag, you basically have to consider the life cycle assessment, or every stage of production, every stage from basically conception to destruction of whatever product you're thinking about, and you look at every single stage and see which product has the least impact overall. For one of my classes, we looked at air dryers. Like, we looked at dryers for like bathrooms. That's like a really common example of life cycle assessment, and you basically consider like the paper, how much like paper uses, how much electricity it uses. And when you're looking at like paper towels versus like air dryers, then you can compare like, well, this one uses more energy when it's being used because it's an air dryer, because it uses electricity. The paper one doesn't use basically any electricity during the use stage. But when you look at the end of life of paper towels, then it has more of an impact. So when you compare paper towels versus air dryers, you look at how much waste or how much problems are produced at each stage. So like when it's being built, when it's being transported, when it's being used, and then when it's being destructed, when it's being disposed of. And you look at all the different stages of paper towels versus air dryers, and then you have to consider which one has the most net positive impact, or like least net negative impact, because they're all going to have a net negative, obviously. So you want to look at the one that has the least net negative. And I'm pretty sure when we were looking at paper towels versus air dryers, there were some air dryers that were less sustainable than paper towels because there were models that used up more energy or like had worse parts or something like that. They were less efficient. I don't know, I don't remember it specifically. I'm talking so much. But we basically looked at that, and then we saw that there was one air dryer in particular that was the most efficient, and it ended up being the most sustainable choice. But if you didn't compare all of them at all the different stages, you wouldn't be able to tell which one is most sustainable. And it's the same thing that we should be doing with literally any product. So for example, plastic versus reusable bags. If I think you have to use a reusable bag like 200 times or something like that. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more, but you have to use it way more than a plastic bag for it to have the same environmental impact. But when we have all these blatant statements of like, get a reusable bag and it's more sustainable, we're making it too simple, and this could end up guiding people down the wrong path of like, well, I need to buy this, and then I need to buy a reusable tote bag, and then I have to buy mason jars, I have to buy reusable cutlery, and then I have to buy this and this and this, when you need to consider all of your options and then consider the one that has the net negative impact. And usually shopping secondhand is going to have the most the least net negative impact, if that makes any sense. I just wish that she would mention, because she studied sustainability, so I'm sure she knows about life cycle assessment, but I really wish she would talk about it when she's talking about zero waste. But I don't think she does it, because then it would make zero waste not look as appealing. I really wish she would talk about life cycle assessment. That's not it. I really wish that she would talk about life cycle assessment and more comprehensive sustainability topics, rather than just being like trash, bad. That's all you need to know.
By identifying those 3 sources of waste and eliminating them, I had reduced my trash by about 90%. The second thing that I like to suggest is picking at the low-hanging fruit. So doing little things, one-time changes.
That's a good idea. I think that's also smart. Just starting small and building up your momentum.
Your everyday life that have a large scale and long-term positive impact. This includes things like using a reusable bag instead of a plastic or paper bag, or using a stainless steel or glass water bottle instead of buying plastic water bottles. Over the course of, however long, you realize that these little changes actually add up and make a big difference. The third thing that I like to suggest is the DIY, or actually learning how to make your products yourself. Now, I absolutely love doing this because when you go to a store and you have to buy products, you kind of have to settle and accept them as they are, right? If you don't like the way they smell, too bad. If you don't like the way they feel, sorry. If you don't like what they're packaged in, you don't have a choice. But for me, since I make all my own products, if I don't like the way they smell, I change the scent. If I don't like the ingredients in them, I change it. If I don't like the packaging, it's my choice.
Okay, what I was gonna say for that is, yeah, I feel like I kind of feel the same way when it comes to like DIYs. That's why I like thrifting, because you're able to find super unique pieces. You're able to, I love when people ask me where I got something and I'm like, sorry, it's from the thrift store, so people can't copy me. I'm not that pretentious, I swear. But yeah, I think it is sometimes super cool to be able to make your own products and have a DIY. In my 10 ways that being sustainable can be affordable video, I talked about making your own cleaning products, and I think that's one way you can definitely kind of customize it to your own liking. But like I mentioned earlier, not everyone has the time to be DIYing their toothpaste all the time, and I think it's important to be cognizant of that.
And so by making my own products, I have complete control over what I'm putting in my body. Now, I started living this lifestyle while I was still in college. And when I graduated, I had a real job, a real person job in sustainability, which is exactly what you'd think I'd want to be doing, right? Well, at the same time, I was still running my blog, Trash is for Tossers, and I noticed that I was getting a recurring question. And it was something like this. Dear Lauren, I absolutely love the products that you're making, and I too want truly natural products. But because of life, family, friends, blah, 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 I just don't have time to make them myself. Do you have any products that I can go out and buy that are equivalent? Thanks for your help, lots of love, person XYZ. So I went to stores and I started looking at products. And while I found that there were beauty products that were reminiscent of the ones that I was making myself, I didn't notice the same trend for cleaning products. When I looked at the ingredients of cleaning products, even the
toxic chemicals. I hate cleaning products because it's just so bad for our body. Like, even if you don't care about the planet, at least care about your own body and what you're putting in it. And cleaning, like regular cleaning products just are so bad for our own bodies and babies, and for, I care about the fish. So when it ends up in the waters and ends up in the oceans, it's so bad for the ecosystems.
Natural cleaning products contained in,
especially, oh god, it makes me so annoyed when companies try to put like leaves and flowers. I have a video on greenwashing, but I'm so annoyed when companies put like green flowers and leaves and like make it like all natural when it's just basically all chemicals. It annoys me so much, and I wish they would stop doing that.
Ingredients that were really harmful, things that were carcinogenic and endocrine disruptive. You know, when I looked into it further, I learned that cleaning product manufacturers aren't even legally required to disclose the ingredients of their products on the product packaging. And so when we go and buy a product, we're at the complete mercy of the company, hoping that they have our best interest in mind.
Which
I feel that we as consumers have a right to products that are transparent and that aren't bad for us. And so I started thinking about my own products, the ones that I've been making for years, that are safe and effective and have ingredients that I use to do things like brush my teeth or make salad dressing. And I realized that I had an opportunity. And so I quit my job and started a company, because I feel like we as human beings, have a right to products that are safe for our homes and our bodies and the environment. I get comments all the time that I'm doing this for attention.
Oh my god, I was gonna say about her earlier point, I think it's so cool that so many companies are popping up that are creating sustainable. I saw an ad for like a toothpaste that you bite and then you can brush your teeth instead of like regular ones that come in the tubes. I think it's so amazing that there are so many companies popping up of people who are putting their lives on the line to start businesses that are more sustainable. I 100% support that. I think we need more of that. So I think it's really cool that she started her own business centered around creating more sustainable products.
But I live this lifestyle for myself. I would never.
I don't want this video to seem like I don't like her. Like I said, I think she has great intentions and she's definitely trying her best and doing the best that she can for the movement. I just, from my point of view, I think it's really disruptive to walk around saying that you create a mason jar's worth of trash when you know, like, I don't think she's dumb. I think she understands that her impact is way more than a mason jar. And she has her own company, so I'm like 100% sure that her company produces waste in some way, shape, or form. So walking around saying that you don't produce any trash, I think is harmful to people who want to join the movement, because it seems unattainable, and it is, because it's literally impossible to produce a mason jar's worth of trash in, I think she's on to 5 years now. Because you're ignoring other kinds of trash. Like, if your oven breaks down and you need a new oven, how are you gonna fit that in your mason jar, Lauren? You just won't. Or like condoms, do you put those in your mason jar? No. I think it's important to be more transparent and to be more honest about the waste that you produce, because it's not a mason jar, let's be real.
Tell anyone how to live or how much trash that they should produce. I just want to provide tools through my blog and my business for people who, like me, want to reduce how much trash they're producing. I live a zero waste lifestyle because, to me, it's the best way I know how to live a life that aligns with everything that I believe in. And what's the point, right? I'm just one person. What difference can I make? The point is simple. I want to be remembered for the things that I did while I was on this planet, and not for the trash that I left behind.
That is not where I thought she was going with that. What? I thought she was gonna, what? I need to hear that one more time.
And what's the point, right? I'm just one person. What difference can I make? The point is simple. I want to be remembered for the things that I did while I was on this planet, and not for the trash that I left behind.
Okay, so I thought she was gonna say, my difference is inspiring other people to be able to live a more sustainable life, right? But she says,
what difference can I make? The point is simple. I want to be remembered for the things that I did while I was on this planet, and not for the trash that I left behind.
I don't know, that just rubs me the wrong way. Okay, so my thoughts on the video. I always like to start with positives because I try to be a positive person. Her story is like really inspiring. I think it's really cool that she went to college and studied environmental science and then was able to get a job doing it and then started a business all about helping people have more sustainable products. I think that's super cool. Kudos to her for that. Literally my only problem with Lauren Singer and her whole zero waste facade that's a little shady, but my problem with it is that there's no way you can produce a mason jar's worth of trash in 5 years. This was 2015, 16, 17, 19, 20. She's on 8 years now, unless she started a new mason jar, but it's just impossible. So it kind of rubbed me the wrong way when she was talking about how I'm a lazy person, and if I'm able to do it, anyone can. I think there's so many different life circumstances. People who are in food deserts, people who work like 300 hours a week, people who have like 1 million children. Those are huge exaggerations, but there are people who lead different lifestyles way more dramatic lifestyles than yours who aren't able to do what you did. So I don't think we should be discounting their efforts. Like, if they want to do their best and if they want to get things from glass packaging instead of plastic packaging, and they're still producing some waste, I'm going to applaud that, rather than sitting here saying anyone can go zero waste, it's so easy, because it's not. And we should be and then I'm gonna, if I remember correctly, her website is, she has a website, like a zero waste shop, and if I remember correctly, it's really expensive too. Zero waste shop, I don't know what it's called, package free, I think it's called. Also, I'm pretty sure, oh, here it is, packagefreeshop.com. So it looks like these things are in packaging because, you know, it's online, and if it's online it comes in the box, which is packed. So these things aren't package free. Shop 100% package free hair care. Oh, it looks like it's a little thing of hand sanitizer, and it's $12, probably because it comes in a glass jar. It looks like they have a lot of things here, but yeah, it's pretty expensive. $12 for soap. It's like pretty steep. And then they have these zero waste kits that comes with $100. Holy cow. It just comes with a bag, a reusable straw, soap. Oh my god, that's, why are you charging people $100 for things that they should be buying at secondhand? You literally talked about how people should buy things secondhand. Come on, girl. My camera's dying. So that was it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I feel like I say this in all my videos, but I really don't want this to be negative. I hope you guys learned a couple things from me sharing my commentary on Lauren Singer's TED Talk. You can subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. I post these kinds of reaction videos every single Tuesday, and then on Saturdays I post more like specific content that I create myself. I'm just saying a bunch of times. All my social media will be linked down below, or you can just look me up. I would love for you guys to follow me on Instagram. I'm almost at 1,000 Instagram followers, and I would love that, so I can do like the swipe up feature. So if you guys could help me do that, that would be amazing. But I have nothing else left to say, so I'm just gonna end it here. See you guys next time.